My best friend confessed she's been having an affair with my husband for years. I never imagined that one conversation could unravel everything I thought I knew about my life. I had always trusted my best friend implicitly. She had been there for me through the highs and lows, from the time we were in school to the day I met the man I would marry, and through the birth of my children. She was like family to me, the person I would confide in when I needed advice, and someone I believed would always have my back. And then, in a single moment, it all fell apart. It happened on a Saturday afternoon. I remember that clearly because it was an ordinary day, until it wasn't. My best friend came over, as she often did, and we were sitting in my living room chatting over coffee. But this time, something felt different. There was an awkwardness, a tension I couldn't quite place. She seemed anxious, fidgeting with her cup, and I could tell she had something on her mind. But I had no idea what was about to come next. After a few minutes of small talk, she suddenly blurted out, "I need to tell you something." Her voice trembled, and my heart immediately dropped. I could see the fear in her eyes, and I braced myself for whatever news she was about to deliver. I thought maybe she was going to confess to some personal struggle, something that had been weighing on her. But I was completely unprepared for the words that followed. "I've been having an affair with your husband," she said. The words hung in the air, sharp and cutting. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. My world spun. My best friend, my husband. An affair. For years. At first, I couldn't even process what she was saying. It was as if the words didn't make sense. My mind tried to reject the information because it was too much to handle. I felt numb, detached, as if this was happening to someone else, not me. I stared at her, waiting for her to say she was joking, that it was some kind of sick prank. But there was no laughter, no light-heartedness, only her tear-filled eyes staring back at me, filled with guilt and remorse. "How long?" I managed to choke out. My voice barely sounded like my own. "How long has this been going on?" She looked down, unable to meet my gaze. "A few years," she whispered. "It started as a mistake, but it kept happening. I didn't know how to stop. A few years. Years. I couldn't wrap my head around it. All this time I had been living in ignorance, completely unaware that my husband and my best friend had been betraying me behind my back. I thought of all the times we had spent together, the three of us laughing at dinner, sharing holidays, celebrating milestones, and it made me sick to my stomach. How could they have done this to me? How could they have looked me in the eyes, knowing what they were hiding? I felt a rage bubbling up inside me, a fury I had never felt before. I wanted to scream at her, to throw her out of my house, to tell her she had destroyed my life. But in that moment, I was too shocked, too hurt to even react. All I could do was sit there, numb, as she continued to explain how it all started. How she had gotten caught up in something she couldn't control. She kept saying she was sorry, that she regretted it, that she didn't know how to fix what she had broken. But sorry didn't change the fact that she had been lying to me for years. Sorry didn't erase the betrayal or the pain. Sorry didn't fix anything. I couldn't listen to her anymore. I told her to leave, and she did. As soon as the door closed behind her, the weight of everything hit me at once. I collapsed onto the couch, sobbing uncontrollably. My entire life felt like a lie. The two people I had trusted the most in the world had shattered that trust in the worst way possible. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I felt like I was in a fog, disconnected from reality. I replayed every moment in my mind, every conversation, every interaction, looking for signs I had missed. How had I not known? How had I been so blind to what was happening right in front of me? When I finally confronted my husband, it was as painful as I had imagined. He didn't deny it. He admitted to the affair and said it had started during a rough patch in our marriage. But that didn't make it any easier to hear. The fact that he had turned to my best friend, of all people, was a betrayal on a level I couldn't even comprehend. I asked him why. Why her? Why for so long? His answers were vague and unsatisfying. He said it just happened, that he hadn't meant to hurt me, that he had been caught up in the excitement, the escape. But what about our family? What about the life we had built together? None of it made sense. He said he wanted to make things right, that he still loved me and wanted to repair our marriage. But how do you fix something so broken? How do you come back from this level of betrayal? I didn't know if I could ever look at him the same way again, or if I even wanted to try. I thought about the years I had spent with him, the memories we had made, the family we had created. I thought about our children, who adored both of us, and had no idea what was happening behind closed doors. Part of me wanted to hold on to that, to salvage what was left of our relationship for the sake of our family. But another part of me was so deeply hurt, so angry, that I didn't know if I could ever forgive him. Or her. The betrayal from my best friend cut even deeper in some ways. She had been like a sister to me, someone I confided in, someone I trusted with my most personal thoughts and feelings. And yet, all that time, she had been sleeping with my husband. How could I ever look at her again? How could I ever trust anyone again after this? I spent weeks going back and forth, trying to decide what to do. Should I try to save my marriage, or should I walk away? Should I cut my best friend out of my life completely, or should I try to find a way to forgive her? I felt lost, like I was standing at a crossroads with no clear direction. In the end, I realized that no one could make this decision for me. I had to figure out what was best for me, for my own well-being. I started going to therapy, trying to process the overwhelming emotions I was feeling. Slowly, I began to understand that healing wouldn't happen overnight. Whether I stayed in my marriage or left, whether I forgave my friend or cut her off, the pain wouldn't just disappear. But I also realized that I deserved better. I deserved to be surrounded by people who valued and respected me, people who wouldn't betray my trust. I wasn't sure what the future would hold, but I knew that whatever path I chose, I would find a way to heal. My best friend's confession shattered my world, but it also forced me to confront hard truths about my marriage and my friendships. It wasn't easy, and it still isn't, but I'm learning that it's okay to put myself first. I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm taking it one day at a time, slowly rebuilding my life in a way that feels true to me.